welcome to the latest episode of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Podcast where two middle-aged, cynical and jaded Scottish wrestling fans try to find any modicum of joy through the greatest form of entertainment in history, professional wrestling. Adam today is our first week back at college, and we are studying for a PhD in Russonomics as we begin a trip down memory lane, dropping into the Attitude Era in WWF with the Royal Rumble 1999. So, that is where we are and what we're doing, and we've had our little trip to Smokey Mountains.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for us.
Yeah.
So we've went back to our old girlfriend. We've decided to go comfortable with WWF and Attitude Era.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Now that you've supped from that goblet for the first time in a while.
I was a little bit anxious going in, and I was trying to think, because I remembered it's just all storyline and it's all like car crash TV, and I was trying to think to myself I just wonder where the wrestling will be, because Bret Hart's gone, Shawn Michaels is gone, but you're not yet at Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit. Yeah,
Jericho.
So I was thinking, I wonder who's going to be bringing the wrestling, but going in knowing that it's going to be very storyline focused. But yeah, it's something I hadn't really revisited, so it was interesting.
Did you find any wrestling?
I found little bits and pieces. There's stuff in there. I don't think it's it's not your 5-star classics, but there are clearly guys in there that know how to work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think this made me realise. Last time I spoke about saying, I don't even know if I like wrestling.
Yeah.
When I watched this, I thought, oh, this is the wrestling that I like. But I think that I definitely do like the work rate stuff, because I love Bret. He's probably my favourite wrestler. So I do like the technical wrestling. But I think it's like wrestling grabbed a hold of you at different stages in your life. So when you and I were younger, it was the big characters. It was the Hogans and Savages and Warriors. And then at this stage in my life, I'd have been quite an impressionable teen. I think I would have been 16 round about here, and the suckets and the double middle fingers are enough, I think.
It's kind of crazy. Like what was I? I think I'm 18 here, and I am at college, and it was huge. There's people that I would never have imagined. There's people that I knew then that were watching this that would never have been a wrestling fan in any other era.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but it just grabbed something that was there. Grabbed people.
When I see, is it Golga? Is that Earthquake?
Yes.
Is it? When I see him wearing the South Park t-shirt, it just feels like that's like all a thing all at the same time. South Park, Jerry Springer, and Stone Cold Steve Austin giving Mr McMahon the middle fingers, and DX suckets.
Yeah.
It's all together. And this Rumble came at a time, so this is, I don't know if you are aware of like sort of where we are in the whole landscape in the 83 weeks with WCW and all that. We are pretty much smack bang right at where the finger poke of doom happened.
All right, okay.
We're only, I think, about a week or two gone from the infamous Tony Schiavone, or that'll put butts in seats remark. So WWF at this point are starting to probably put a bit of distance between themselves and WCW at this point, and you can see that. Like I found this really riveting to watch from the point of view of it like being like a TV show, but not in a Lucha Underground TV show takeaway, but in it's all centred around McMahon and Austin. Like literally almost the whole show is.
even when, I mean, we've seen this on plenty of other shows, but even when there's a match and you're in the middle of it, the announcers are doing their bit to tell you about the things you really should have at the forefront of your mind, and it's often not the match that you're watching take place. And I think Michael Cole must be pretty young here as an announcer, because he's doing his best, but I think it was probably done best by JR when he's around, where you can still make the thing in front of you seem important, but the wider importance is the story they're telling you that is going to come to a climax at the end of the night. It's interesting, because I imagine, like, when you say it's like a TV show, and it is, you can totally see, without going and watching it, what the Raws would be like based on this show. And I imagine we're at, 2-hour Raws here at this stage, but there's no SmackDown, would that be right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you can totally see how they could cram full 2 hours of, prime wrestling content on a Monday night.
Non-stop nonsense.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about some sort of angle, I don't remember, it's Mark Henry and being caught in a hotel room with a man.
Yeah.
They were talking about Terry Runnels having lost a baby.
Yeah.
And here she comes with a see-through top on, just styling it out.
Yeah.
They obviously there was stuff, there's been non-stop stuff to do with Austin and McMahon. You've had, I think, on the Raw going into it, you had China wrestling to get into the Rumble. She maybe wrestled Briscoe and Patterson.
Okay.
Just all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think at this point in time, I don't really need to watch the Raws, I don't think, because I think it's... I used to just fall asleep watching these pay-per-views, and it just... It feels like there's something in my mind that I can just say the next word that commentators are going to say, which is really sad. I acknowledge that.
I take it you were actively watching pretty religiously at this time.
Yeah, aye. I think I would hate to see a video of my behaviour at this point in my life. It would be suckets non-stop and spitting water and double fingers and you didn't know.
Fantastic.
Just when you mentioned Michael Cole there, so I did a little bit of watching, and I was saying to you earlier, I watched a little bit of Beyond the Mat off the back of the horrendous Mankind and Rock I Quit match.
Yep.
And JR was on leave at this point after suffering with a bout of Bell's palsy, but he was coaching Michael Cole through the commentary. And I did think Michael Cole's pretty good on commentary. And I thought he clearly can't have Vince in his ear, because Vince was, on screen 90% of the time. And I did wonder if this is just him, a young Michael Cole, but it makes sense to know that JR was coaching him.
It does, That, I wasn't aware of that, but that does make a lot of sense, because it feels like he's trying to do the job the way JR was doing it in that era, which I think I always liked JR and Lawler. We've talked about this before, haven't we? And then it becomes a bit much. Especially I think some of the Lawler stuff just becomes a bit over the top.
When there's a woman on screen, it becomes slightly tedious.
I ended up maybe rating the JR and Paul Heyman duo a little bit higher. It just worked really well.
Definitely.
But yeah, Lawler was obviously a voice of our teenage years.
I suppose he was, and he probably still is, the voice of teenagers everywhere, unfortunately for him and the teenagers. As soon as this came on, the video package came shooting back to me, the whole $100,000 richer, the Austin, there's no, all that sort of stuff. They were just so good with the video packages back then, I feel.
Oh yeah, and you didn't like we talked about, I think on some journeys we've done before, you've had to read up on quite a lot. Obviously, you've watched all this before, so you're able to snap back quite quickly and neatly to where they're at. But it kind of only took a few words for me in the video package. It's like, okay, it's this Rumble. Austin's won it twice before at this stage.
Yeah.
He is the favourite to win it. Vince wants anything other than Austin win. He thinks he's been clever by having him enter at number 1. Shawn Michaels has stumbled back in to do a little commissionership to make a ruling, which is...
You see that footage of him dancing on Raw? Yeah. His back looked like it was giving him serious chip.
Yeah. So Vince ends up going in at number 2, and to be honest, as soon as those things were mentioned, I remembered not much about the actual content of the Rumble match, but everything about the finish of the Rumble match.
Nice. Yeah. There's not much content off the Rumble to really talk of.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of intentional. Like, I think one of the things that I thought was missing, and we'll get to it, is now, and for a lot of years in the good Rumbles, you're not only setting up your top of the card match, you're setting up quite a bit
rivalries and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure this did or cared about doing much of that.
No. Something that I loved, and it just, again, same as what you're saying there, snapped me back in, the fireworks at the start of the pay-per-view. Yeah. And then the lights come on and pan around, and there's just a gazillion signs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And people are just going, and this is for the whole thing, like, but the crowd are rabid.
Oh, yeah.
They're absolutely mental. It's just night and day compared to watching something now.
Yeah, so I don't watch an awful lot now, but I feel like signs are nowhere near as prominent.
Oh, no.
I can imagine, them having some signs nowadays that they maybe want people to hold up. Just a few deliberately placed. If they're in that seat, give them that. Whereas, these must be tens of thousands of people turning up to an arena with signs they've made, and often you can kind of tell more than one sign per person because they're switching it up as they go.
Yeah, yeah. There was something relating to an Epstein. I was questioning if there was a time traveller in the crowd there.
Oh, I think I've lost you. Okay. I'll just speak for a little bit and fill in because Ross has disappeared. We're talking about signs in the crowd. And there's definitely one that I can't remember now off the top of my head that Ross is going to want to talk about once he gets back on this. But there's some fantastic ones in the crowd. Obviously some a little bit lewd, and I can't imagine there's any policing at all over what's there. Hello, I lost you for a minute there.
Hey, you disappeared. What was the last thing you heard me saying?
We were talking about signs, and I just mentioned people clearly having multiple on occasion, and you were about to speak to that.
All right, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I was saying that there was something relating to an Epstein of some description sign. I was thinking it was maybe a time traveller in the crowd. Some of the signs were incredible. I think I texted you saying McMahon. What did it say? McMahon is juicing or something like that.
Yeah.
McMahon's on juice.
McMahon's on juice, I think it was. Yeah.
The number of puns on like Austin 316, like hungover 24/7 and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's
almost like its own wee game sitting looking at some of the signs across the crowd. Yeah. And something else I liked about the crowd, and I noticed it most in the Road Dogg Bossman match for some reason, was that, like, how do you describe this? So, like, mainly the front row was, I would say, like early 20s aged guys, and they were kind of like, I can't even think how to describe this. It's like, when we were talking about watching wrestling, we say you just want to go and watch it and put everything to this side and like get immersed in what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what those guys were like. Like, they hated the boss man.
Nice.
They were shouting like "fuck you" and like giving him the middle finger and that. Same with Shamrock. Shamrock came out to the crowd and he called the guy in the front row a fat piece of shit. And they weren't laughing. They were like, "Nah, fuck it!" Like they were acting like he was a proper heel.
They've gone all in. I like it. Yeah.
And I just, again, I don't feel like you see that modern wrestling. No chanting, no dueling chants. No, this is awesome. Clap, clap, clap. No, like, we're part of the show.
Yeah. It's nice in a way. It's like the feeling I get when I see a concert or a sporting event and everyone's holding up their phones to record it rather than watching the thing. And I'm a wee bit like, just live in the moment, will you? These guys are living in the moment.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We went to see Ghost at the Hydro maybe last year. Maybe start this year, and we had to put our phones in, like lock them away in little wallets. And what a difference it made to just even the experience where you're not like thinking about that even.
Yeah. Nice.
I like that. Should we talk a bit about the preliminary matches?
Yeah.
And before we get to, I would guess what we'll probably spend most time on, which would be Rock Mankind.
Yeah.
So we had three preliminary matches before the title match. We had Road Dogg v Boss Man, which wasn't for anything actually. Boss Man was part of the tag champions with Shamrock. That obviously wasn't online. Road Dogg was hardcore champion, but they told us that the corporation had made the decision that it wouldn't be a hardcore match.
Yeah. We
had Billy Gunn v Shamrock for the Intercontinental title, and we had Gangrel v X-Pac for the European title. It felt like the Road Dogg v Boss Man and the Billy Gunn v Shamrock matches all felt like they were part of the wider stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're obviously in different factions, the Corporation and DX, so they're kind of jigsaw pieces for what's going on.
Yeah, because this is basically a tag match that's been split into two singles. Because I think Boss Man and Shamrock are the tag champs.
Tag champs, yeah.
So, I don't know why my mind went to this, but like, remember in the early days of Boss Man from the old VHS tapes when he was huge, and I think he dropped quite a bit of weight for his later run and career. He must have been really young when he first came into WWF, because I don't think he's even that old here.
Yeah. I would question whether he's even in his 40s here.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It's a pity. He feels like he'd be older than what we are now, doesn't he?
Yes. Oh yeah.
He's definitely younger.
Oh, that's scary stuff.
Do you know what made me think about Boss Man? I was thinking, why did a prison guard ever be a face? How did they get away with him being a face back in the early 90s? Like, it makes sense for him to be this asshole heel that he was.
Yeah, because he started off the heel and he was with Slick and in the team with Akeem. And then a rivalry with Hogan within that, I think.
Yeah.
But then he just became Hogan's mate.
Yep. Just tearing about, sliding under the ropes and sidewalk slamming people.
He was born in 1963, so where are we here? 99, so he's like 36 here?
Oh my god, that is fucked up.
Okay. I'll just speak until I hear Ross again, because I think he's left the call for a few minutes. As we're talking about Road Dogg and Boss Man, the crowd reaction when Road Dogg comes out is absolutely ridiculous. Like, we hear big crowd reactions now, But this is a guy who's kind of mid-carder, and the reaction is absolutely ridiculous for Road Dogg coming out. He's got his mic and he's doing his usual normal intro that, oh, you didn't know, and the crowd are going insane for it.
He's so over. It's absolutely ridiculous.
He's so over. He's obviously, he's a charismatic guy and he's good with a microphone in his hand. But like, I was trying to relate it to what you hear nowadays in reactions, and I feel like people will be talking about it for months.
Like an Austin Pop.
Yeah.
Aye.
It's crazy. And he's, you know, he was obviously had a good position within the company for a period of time, but he was never the main guy. He was never a headline solo act or anything like that. But it's ludicrous. Everyone's chanting along with it.
Aye, 100%. He's proper commanding the crowd, and even during the match, I feel like he's kind of got the crowd in the palm of his hand. They pretty much react to however he wants them to react.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like that about Boss Man as well. Like, he's proper. Again, like, proper heel. Proper heel. Like, they hate him.
Yeah, they do. And even because they kind of do a little bit in terms of the story of the match, where it seems like Road Dogg's outsmarting him for a period of time. And it could, if he wasn't a proper heel, come across a bit buffoonish, some of the stuff Boss Man's doing, but it doesn't really, because the crowd hate him.
Yeah. It's good. I actually quite enjoyed the match. You see it on paper, Road Dogg v Boss Man, you think, nah, this is going to be horrendous. But I genuinely quite enjoyed the match. Did you?
Yeah, I think they're both pretty good workers. Like, they both know what they're doing in the ring, and they both know how to play their role. And it'd be easy maybe to be really distracted away from it, because they're leaning in pretty heavily to the Corporation v Austin story here. Like, even when they're talking about the reason why this isn't a hardcore match and isn't for the hardcore title, it sounds very much like it's because the Corporation feel like they might need Boss Man later on.
For Austin.
Yeah. And they don't want him getting injured or taken out or anything like that. So even the little bits that are purely for this match are still feeding into the wider story.
Yeah, 100%. And we get like a really quick finish with this one. The old sidewalk slam comes out of nowhere. Randy Orton's got nothing on the Big Boss Man, and unfortunately for Road Dogg, he takes the defeat.
He does. He got the crowd pop, but yeah, I wasn't sure how a Boss Man rather would be positioned here, because obviously he's a lackey. He's a hired gun basically, but they obviously want him to be positioned fairly strong. They don't want him, looking weak. So I wasn't. Based on the kind of end of the match, the story sort of made sense in terms of Boss Man getting the win. It feels very much like this was just here for Road Dogg in terms of having something to do, and obviously they can still circle back to Road Dogg and Billy Gunn going after the tag titles, because they've had individual matches with the guys that are holding.
And like, clearly Road Dogg could probably take about 20 defeats in a row and still be over by shaking his knees and doing the ladies and gentlemen stuff. So doesn't
we
matter.
all knew someone who was a wee bit Road Dogg, didn't we?
I fear that I was the person who's a little bit Road Dogg. That's why I'm kind of laughing.
Fantastic.
I think similar with Billy Gunn and Shamrock. I was surprised again how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I always totally bought Shamrock. Like, the whole world's most dangerous man, and he snapped and all that kind of. I wasn't a UFC guy in that era. I don't think UFC was anything that was available for UK TV viewers in this day and age. But I bought it, and I think they positioned him in a way where you would buy it, because he looked like he was capable of absolutely destroying anyone he went in there with. Yeah. And I think that sort of added menace of we know that the match result is predetermined, but what if this guy really did snap?
Aye. It's funny. I feel like you've taken my thoughts out my head. Like there was times I was watching it, I was thinking, if I was Billy Gunn, I wouldn't be doing that because this guy's mental, and he's also like clearly like so violent, and he can back it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I just thought some of the hits and stuff were snug. Even the suck it in his face and stuff. I was just like, I wouldn't do that.
No.
But I think you're right. I think like you just completely 100% buy into his character because he looks like a maniac.
Yeah,
he's got that faraway look in his eyes sometimes.
Crazy. I also have to question how it is that I'm pretty sure, it's not to say he looked bad here, but I'm pretty sure Billy Gunn looks better now than he did then.
Aye. That's insane. It really is.
I certainly don't.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Look at some photos of yourself. You might surprise yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't have a beard then, so this is a automatic win, I guess.
So Road Dogg goes on a hardcore. What are you going to say there? It goes on a hardcore championship run for a while, and then ends up competing, I think, for the IC title at WrestleMania 15, and Billy Gunn does the opposite.
Yeah, they switched them.
They did like a weird thing, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't really know why it happened. I probably would never have thought of Road Dogg as being an IC title kind of guy. 'Cause he can work, he absolutely can, but so much of it's about who he is as a character and his promo skill and all that. But yeah, he definitely ends up in the mix, and it is like the switch comes out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah,
it's weird.
You see Billy Gunn as an IC champ, I think.
Yeah, and I think I've heard stuff about how I think there was always a desire to push him as a single star, but he's obviously, when you split up the New Age Outlaws, he's not the one with all the charisma. He struggles a wee bit on the mic, and he keeps it brief. I think he keeps it very brief here when he's got the mic. And I think that there was also something like random that I remember. Something like him being asthmatic or something like that. And in one-on-one matches, I think he needed a breather in a lot of them. So obviously quite well suited to being in a tag situation, given that.
Yeah. I've heard that as well, and he was in the Smoking Guns as well, so he came up through tag matches. I think it was Shamrock, right? And his gimmick, and obviously, like you said, we weren't exposed to the UFC here, so we wouldn't have known, and maybe that's part of like why we totally buy him as this, because we didn't really know who he was. I guess not that many, like compared to what the UFC has been now and all that sort of stuff. If somebody like John Jones started fighting in the WWE or whatever, but like it's almost like he was in a time where he was ahead of his time, because after this, everybody wanted to be a sort of technical.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think, did you read the JR book where he's talking about Shamrock and having to fine him and stuff like that? Because I think he went through a period of time of not being very reliable and no showing some events and things like that. Because I remember when he was first there, and in this era, and he had a series of good matches with The Rock and all that, I remember thinking he's going to be world champion. It's a matter of time. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it was in the ring with Austin. I think I always thought Shamrock was quite small compared to a lot of guys. Like, you think if he was wrestling now, it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I thought he was quite small. But then I was looking at him in the ring with Austin. There can't be a huge difference in size between the two of them.
No. Yeah, I think you're right.
But then it does work as, like, I feel like Michael Cole described about 3 different guys as the corporation's hired gun. He talked about Test, he talked about possibly with Shamrock and Bossman as well.
Yeah.
It's like they had these hitters.
Yeah.
But he worked in that role as well.
What did you think of the wrinkle with the Ken Shamrock's sister?
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Shamrock.
And he was dating her at the time as well.
Yeah.
In real life, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think there is a fairly well-known situation at a later event where I think he has to basically scream in her face to slap him in the face or something like that. Yeah, a little bit odd, because you don't automatically think, we'll put in some sort of, elaborate storyline for Ken Shamrock. I mean, it just seems like he's just a wrecking machine who doesn't need things like that. But,
the footage they showed of Billy Gunn mooning her was absolutely ridiculous. Like, he must have had a thong on underneath his...
Yeah.
Like, he's doing it to the front row.
Yeah.
And obviously the big Valboski must have had some sort of interest in her as well.
Yeah, I think he wanted her to star in one of his movies. But yeah, he gets involved here, and there's a story of him having been doing a bit of gyrating, and he's doing some more gyrating, which very nearly sees Billy get a sneaky wee win for the title.
Do you remember if they go any further with Billy Gunn and Shamrock?
I don't remember. I can't think off the top of my head kind of how things pan out.
I'd like to say, I think you and I, in '98 we spoke about Rock and Shamrock, and those two worked really well together. They were great together. I feel like Billy Gunn and Shamrock had a good thing going here as well. The finish was a little bit, like with Billy Gunn coming off the top rope, it was a little bit forced in.
Yeah. I think they wanted to give, like, for story reasons further on, they wanted to give Billy a bit of an injury, so he's gonna look like he lands a wee bit difficult off the top turnbuckle, and then Shamrock, just to really rub salt into that wound, is gonna put on his ankle lock. He does play a psychopath so well, Shamrock.
He definitely does. He locks into that. As soon as he gets ankle lock on, it's like his face completely changes into that nutter look.
Yeah.
I don't know how much different that is for the real man. I can recall reading his book, and some of the stuff
might be quite fine.
But I enjoyed that match as well. What do you think, Gangrel versus X-Pac for the European title?
So I've never been all in on Gangrel. I think some people have. The Brood were cool, and I think anyone who tries to claim anything other than that is lying. The Brood were cool.
Preach.
And Gangrel was the leader of the Brood, but how much they lost when he left and it continued being an Edge and Christian thing, I don't know. But Gangrel, he was never quite my guy, which is weird because I loved the Lost Boys. X-Pac's a really good worker. As I've got a few things in my notes as I was going through, just watching what I was seeing and thinking, is Gangrel a wee bit clunky here? Because I can't imagine it's Xbox that's clunky. It also seemed like a bit of a botched finish to this whole match. But
was it Teddy?
Teddy Long. Yeah.
So funny that they showed the replay of him fucking up the 3 count.
Yeah.
Michael Cole's like, let's see that again. They must be thinking, no.
Yeah. It was. I think I was pleasantly surprised by the 2 matches before this, but I didn't think this was very good, to be honest.
The only thing that I was pleasantly surprised about, like, if X-Pac existed now, people will be talking about him as this like tremendous worker.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have went and wrestled anywhere and looked and probably fared a lot better because they were just desperate to portray him as this underdog fighting from underneath. Whereas if he was fighting in sort of, I don't know, like a cruiserweight type situation, or even like if he was in Ring of Honor with Bryan Danielson, and I think he would just look amazing. I think, and fit right in. I thought his wrestling was so crisp, so I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it's been said by a lot of other workers that if there's a new guy they're not sure about, they often put X-Pac in there with him, because if it's a bad match, they kind of knew it's not on X-Pac, is it? It's on the other guy. And I've definitely heard some talking heads talk about it, like if it's a bad match, everyone, that's a big hitter backstage is looking saying, well, it's not because of X-Pac, is it?
Yeah. I'm with you on Gangrel. I liked his finisher. I liked the what was it, the Impaler?
Yeah.
That he did. I think he worked better as like if he was in the Rico role, for example, with Billy and Chuck. He's fine standing at the side of the ring and spitting blood about the shop. Not so much wrestling.
Yeah, I think
that's maybe a bit harsh.
Yeah,
he's still wrestling.
I know. I saw him on the Dark Side of the Ring about Luna Vachon, because I think he'd had a relationship with her.
Okay.
And it was.
Is she not in a relationship with Shane McMahon based on this?
I mean, you would have thought so, yeah.
Based on this pay-per-view.
I was thinking as you were skipping through, I thought, he's missed a match, and it was the Sable against Luna match, the main event anywhere in the world. We are going to have next up in the running here a match between Sable and Luna. It's not exactly a classic, and we have Shane McMahon coming down, and the introduction suggests he's going to be in the corner with Luna, all because he has an issue with Sable. Shane comes down, says he's talking about Sable having a back problem, but she's not having any of that. She's not giving up the title or forfeiting the match, so she comes down to have the fight. It feels like it was an odd choice to have Sable and Luna taking part in a strap match, and basically touching the four corners to get the win. But Shane joins the announce team, and he is really aligning himself with Luna in slightly over the top fashion. He is belittling Sable at every turn. I did wonder, is there any kind of backstage reason why they're really laying into Sable as we're going through this? But I'm sure she was still making the company a hell of a lot of money at this point in time. And Luna is, she's your quirky, slightly eccentric performer. A little bit wild, but yeah, it's not the best match you're going to see in your life. It's one that Sable gets the win and retains her title, and they'll kind of just move on from it, apart from maybe Shane McMahon, who was furious about the whole thing. So not a match that requires a hell of a lot of chat, to be honest. But Sable v Luna, very much just on the card, just kind of there. Apologies for my sniffling. I do have a bit of a cold. I think I've got it in my notes. This all comes down to as a result of Sable not accepting some kind of role within the corporation. So Shane O'Mac fighting Daddy's fights for him there. And also we get a little segment of Shane trying to help Vince as he goes, as he's training for his match, trying to help him out. Seems odd when Vince has got access to, minds like Briscoe and Patterson. I think we've seen Slaughter aligned with him at times, but it seems to be Shane that he's going to for his advice and his pep talks, which is, surprising, let's say. But yeah, I'll keep moving, and hopefully Ross will be able to rejoin us soon. We get a segment as we're going through Bossman, like trying to rally all the corporation troops, and it's sort of positioned as the corporation are in harmony. They're all aiming for the same goals. Somebody's obviously going to try and target Austin, get rid of him, and share that money. We're going to go from here towards the build to the I Quit match. I really liked the way that the build is pieced together. So obviously there's a hell of a lot of promos going on with The Rock and Mankind, and it's basically The Rock asking for and trying to get himself a title rematch, and he's offering Mankind all kinds of things under the sun. And Mankind here, we kind of know who The Rock is and the fact that he's really, really strong with his promos. But what we get here is Mankind chipping in, and it might be partly to do with editing and the way that they've pieced this all together. But I was just really, really impressed with the way that in the build-up package, the way the Mankind verbals work. I like the way it was all put together, because we kind of know what The Rock is like with a microphone in his hand, but I was really impressed with the Mankind microphone work. And it could be something to do with the way it was all cut together and edited, but it just worked for me.
Oh, like you talked about, like the sort of stuff where Rock was asking him for a title shot, and he's like, I don't think that's going to work for me, Rock, and all that sort of stuff. I like that too.
Yeah, so like we all know how good The Rock is with a mic in his hand. So, whatever he's doing, it's never going to surprise us. But it's not something you get an awful lot, or got an awful lot for a lot of Mankind's career, was him with a microphone. And it's like The Rock's baiting him into try to give him a rematch, but Mankind kind of has a bit of an intellectual upper hand and tricks him into offering the match that he wants.
100%.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was obviously it was cut together so they can make that look really good. But I just was really impressed with the way Mankind was holding himself with the mic.
I thought Mankind with the belt, and like that belt looked amazing. Mankind with the belt just looked really good. Yeah, I forgot that he went in as champion. And I forgot the whole thing had happened with the butts and seats and all that sort of stuff with DX.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it in two parts, all right? Let's talk about before the pre-handcuffs and post-handcuffs.
Okay.
Pre-handcuffs, I tell you what, I've seen I Quit matches in the past. I've seen I Quit matches after this, and this, for me, is probably the best, up until the handcuffs, the best I Quit match that I've seen, because there's definitely a sort of tedious aspect that comes in where it's like, what do you say? What do you say? No! But because the character's here, it works absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
And it doesn't sort of become a barrier to the match continuing. It's part of the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they do well with it, because obviously what we've been told about Mankind and the stuff we've seen in the past is kind of along the lines of he doesn't really feel pain, or he doesn't dislike pain. But I thought they were quite clever with it here, because there's a lot of things happen to him early on in the match where I think he's thrown into the steps. He gets the ring bell.
That's brutal.
Yeah. And then I think, is it a DDT on the exposed bit of floor or something like that? Yeah. And it all looks really punishing. He's taken a lot of bumps, but within watching the match, I wasn't thinking this guy doesn't feel pain. What it made you think was, it doesn't matter what he does, he's not going to quit. So he's feeling the pain and he's selling the pain, but he's still not going to quit.
Yeah. Yeah, because if he didn't feel the pain, you'd be getting the whole Seth Rollins Fiend Hell in a Cell type thing where he just keeps getting up, and he's not doing that. He's no Michael Myers.
Yeah.
he's selling it and going, you go to hell and all that sort of stuff. It's quality.
Yeah. He sells it so well for a guy that's wearing, most of his face is covered by a mask, but he's selling the pain he's feeling really well. But you're believing, like, I was trying to take myself back to when I first watched this. Obviously, I'm watching this now knowing what's going to happen, but you do kind of think to yourself, well, this is a match Rock can't win.
How could he?
He's never going to quit.
Yeah. And who? Was it? Is it Shamrock? He had the match with where was it a submission match or something? He gives himself the mandible claw so that he doesn't.
It was.
Quit.
Yeah.
Is that the run up to this? Maybe. Probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, makes himself pass out.
Aye. Yeah. There's something about The Rock in this match, and I don't know if it's like a sort of time capsule where is it this show or is this just what he was like then? I genuinely can't remember. If I think back to Rock, I think you think of like the millions and all that sort of stuff, and like the charisma is just like, like it's hardly breaking news, is it? But even compared to The Rock now as a movie star, like the charisma is unbelievable.
It is, yeah.
Everything he does is entertaining. He's a heel, and he like hits him with a hammer, hits the bell with a hammer. He's going, bells will be ringing. Like it's I don't know. It's so entertaining. He's the only one I thought of on the show that was a heel that was like that the fans would probably be like cheer for. But then he's so despicable and like horrible during that match that there's no way that
he's
they could have
outrageously watchable.
Cheered for him.
He's just got that quality about him.
What do you think of that bump that Foley takes when he falls from the crowd? Do you think if the like nobody ever talks about that, and do you think if the chair shots hadn't come, it would have been like that was a crazy bump?
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem is that nobody really remembers much other than the chair shots, which I think covers this whole match because, like you were saying, it's actually it's a very good match until it becomes very hard to watch.
Yeah, and like if we're talking about that, like first of all, you're right. It is really hard to watch, really, really hard to watch, and I think if you know. Yeah, like both of us obviously know what's coming, so you almost brace yourself for it. I don't think it matters. I think it's actually worse.
Yeah, I think obviously we know more now about what that can do to somebody's head than we did when we were watching it.
Aye.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously, we've got more backstory now. We know it was only supposed to be 5, and the 5th one was supposed to be the kill shot, in inverted commas. He hits him 11 times. He doesn't just hit him with a steel chair, though. I think back to that chair shot that they gave Ken Shamrock in 1998, and we're told that Shamrock told him, just swing it like a baseball bat and hit me as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you said something to me in a message, like, it does look beyond a certain time, like, Mankind is trying to like get him to hit him somewhere other than the head.
It's like he's walking backwards towards him, like feet he's bent over, like hit me in the back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He rocks him right across the. He's hitting him with like the side of the chair and all that as well.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to Mick Foley? Had a bit of a short-lived podcast that he ran for a little while, and I think it might have been his first episode. He talked about this.
Oh, really?
See, he was saying, he's I think gone through a few different things with it. One being, initial kind of anger, but even then not realising the damage it could do in the longer term.
Still.
But then he was still talking, like, slightly worrying, talking about, like, I really think it made it memorable, though. And you're like, oh, God, no, it was memorable enough. It didn't need it.
Yeah. It definitely didn't need it. So I'd said to you I watched Beyond the Mat, or I didn't watch all of Beyond the Mat, but I watched the bits where they cover this, and you see him you obviously see him afterwards. You see the big cuts that he's got. You see his kids coming to see him afterwards. You see his wife, and she just said, I don't know how much more I can take this. Bear in mind, we're not that far off him falling through the cage and off the cage.
Yeah.
At King of the Ring 98 with The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine seeing your husband or wife or something like that doing that.
Yeah.
And then only a few months later they're doing this.
There's a couple of things I noticed that I don't think I'd noticed before. Just as we're getting towards the end, so they're on the ramp and there's been all the extra chair shots, and just before he gets the microphone and shoves it into his face, I think Earl Hebner looks pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he... Obviously, there's a role for a referee to play there in terms of selling the fact that he thinks he's gone too far. But when I was looking at him, I was thinking, no, I think he just thinks he has gone too far. And also, Jerry Lawler's tone changed. And he's like the heel colour commentator, and he's pro-corporation.
Uh-huh.
But there's a point where he just kind of, he's just saying, like, that's enough. Yep. You know, yeah.
I'd love to imagine there being like a camera crew and Gorilla or something. I'd love to see what the reaction was to Rock coming through the curtain.
Would you remember hearing about the thing where I think Brock Lesnar like opened up Randy Orton with a hell of a lot of elbows, and apparently Jericho like
was going to
got
bite his
right
nose
in his face and started fighting him when they got backstage, and he had to be basically told, look, that was all approved and agreed. But you would think someone, unless they were very job scared, would be having a word about that, wouldn't you?
Ah, well, you get told about the infamous story of The Undertaker wrapping his hands for Michaels not doing the job. Like, I suppose he's also been involved with probably going too far with Mankind in the past. But you think somebody would have said, like, I don't know, I think somebody would have been fighting him as he's come through. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
So Foley, when he's getting bandaged up, he says, he's so jovial, you know, he's got that sort of jovial voice, and he's like, if I saw Rocky right now, I'd probably strangle him, but I hope people got their money's worth.
Yeah.
And that just seems to be his thing, doesn't it? Like, I hope people enjoyed it. They put on the show, and then he asks, later on, you see him and he asks Vince if he thought it was too far, and Vince says, I'll let you know when I get, like, the report back. I don't know, like, the report on, like, what the pay-per-view's done and whatever. And then they're both sort of justifying it to each other, you know, when they find out your character's been screwed and all that. That's just TV, that's showbiz and all this sort of stuff Vince is saying. It beggars belief. Imagine somebody did that now. It's just... I don't know. Like, that's more egregious than, like, what CM Punk did in that press conference or anything.
I mean, it's putting somebody's health at risk, serious risk. I'm trying to remember, I'm just skimming through my Rumble match notes. Is Undertaker there?
Aye. Remember he
yes, of course he does.
Mabel.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, cause I don't, like, with no Bret Hart anymore, you would think it would be somebody like Undertaker who would be in the back, like, yeah, we need to talk about that. You know, that's... You can't do that. Because I can't really think of anyone else. Austin obviously was the main star, but he would never strike me as a guy that would get involved, I don't think.
Yeah. What was it? I remember I said to you that I'd watched an interview with Austin, they asked him about that. Yeah. And he sort of hand-waved away the whole CTE stuff. Yeah. But he also said, like, you're back there and you're thinking, that's too far, but you're also thinking, that's, like, amazing TV. It's just a bit, I don't know. Hard to, I suppose it's hard to judge, isn't it? A totally different time. And also, we've heard stories that Mick Foley's the one that pushes for things like that as well, so you could probably be convinced that he's the one that said he wanted to take those chair shots and all that sort of stuff.
I think I'm sure he said on his podcast when they'd done the 5, because it was supposed to be 5, he felt like there was maybe more to do in the moment and with the crowd reaction, but I think it maybe went beyond what he tried to communicate to The Rock to do. Because did you say it got to 11?
11, aye.
Yeah, I think he maybe said something like, hit me with a couple more or something like that, and it ended up obviously going a lot further than that.
There can only be blame laid at one person's feet.
Yeah,
he's still pretty. Like, it's not like he's had this 15-year career up to then.
Yeah,
but I think I read he's only 26 or something.
Right.
Then,
yeah, I mean, people don't know what they knew, but I think you would have enough about you to know to stop.
Aye. It's horrendous. It's probably one of the best examples of someone like not looking after someone in the ring. You see those infamous things of like, who's it, like Perry Saturn beating someone up, and Hardcore Holly doing it to somebody, and you had that guy that tried to take down Kurt Angle. He's like an MMA fighter or something.
Oh,
but
yes.
You never really see this mentioned. I think it's easily one of the worst.
Yeah.
Especially in a year where what happens, Owen Hart's only not that far around the corner, and then obviously Foley's went off the cage, or the Hell in a Cell, not that long ago as well.
Yeah.
But they're pushing the envelope.
Brutal.
Hard to watch, but yeah, who's to say what it would do if he just hit him one sort? But even the corporate elbow he hits looks brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of it all took away from the borderline comedy actual I quit comment, which is so clearly not being said live.
It came right from the package that they showed before the match.
Yep.
I didn't think I definitely didn't pick up on that when I watched that. I can definitely remember thinking that he'd quit and being like, oh my God, Mankind quit.
He was so coherent when he did it.
I know, he did it. That's so funny to think of. But yeah, they get the title back on Rock, and then they do like you said, they do the halftime heat the following week, and Mankind gets the belt back. These two must have sort of bounced it back and forth between each other for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I remember thinking that the pop when Mankind won it on the Raw, when Austin came out with the chair, because it had become like a Corporation and DX battle to support their guy, hadn't it, on the outside?
Yeah.
And then the pop when Austin came out, I did think, what a shame for Mankind, because he's had his big moment and won the title, but the pop that Austin got was by far the biggest pop.
That's just the story of Foley's career.
It is, yeah.
To think, is 2000 the only... Aye, of course it would be. I was going to say, is 2000 the only WrestleMania main event he got, but of course it would be.
Yeah, I think there had been thought of putting him in this one coming up and making it a three-way.
Right.
But I think I've got it in my head that there were certain people got in Vince's ear about your main event at WrestleMania has to be a one-on-one. I mean, obviously that went out the window because so many of them in future weren't. But I think at the time, other than, right in the early stages where it wasn't for a title, with Hogan and Mr. T and stuff like that, I think generally speaking, it had pretty much always been a one-on-one, which made Vince change his mind. But I think at a point Foley was supposed to be in there.
We've spoken. That's harsh. We spoke about it before, but he was used so often to get other guys, up a stage. They did it with Shawn Michaels and him. They did it with Austin after WrestleMania 14. I'm sure Dude Love was his first sort of.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
His first rivalry. They obviously did it with Triple H. Like a year on, he's doing the same shit for Triple H as well.
Yeah. It's really funny that it just twigged in my memory about the Foley podcast. Like, how you get Shawn Michaels is referred to as Mr. WrestleMania, and I think a lot of people call is it Kurt Angle, Mr. SummerSlam, or something like that? You know,
Right.
it's Bret Hart, I think, is Mr. SummerSlam. A lot of people have their thing. And Mick Foley's jingle for his podcast was Mr. In Your House. That was the song he'd come up with.
Oh, brutal.
But I'm sure, you know, given the fact that Vince never really, that nobody ever thought Vince would ever want to hire him, I suppose he did okay.
It's funny you say that. I was listening to something with, you know, Barry Blaustein, the guy that made Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
And he'd been working, or had been having conversations with Vince for quite a long time before they started filming Beyond the Mat. And Vince had invited him out to his house and asked him to look through his roster and say, who do you think has got it and who doesn't? He was interested in his opinion, probably because he was a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
And you know what Vince is like. And he'd said Foley, and Vince had been like completely against it and been like, no, he's not got it at all. I think he had to be convinced to hire him, didn't he? By JR or something.
So I think JR and Pritchard pushed and like sent him all the stuff and got him to watch everything and all that for years. But I think certainly Pritchard has said before, like, I wanted him signed, but I never thought that's a possible world champion. I never thought there's a headline guy. But apparently when he agreed to sign him, was it that one? I think it was that one where he said something to JR along the lines of, I'm going to sign him, but just because I want you to know how it feels to see your dreams dashed or something like that. Wow.
We'll call him Mason the Mutilator.
Was that actually one of the names that was in the mix?
Yeah, that's what he wanted to call him, Mason the Mutilator.
Yeah. Wow.
Mason the Mutilator. So I guess we get Mankind versus Rock again.
I would think so.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre, I think we probably do.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you would have rated it if they hadn't went to?
Definitely. I like the psychology of it. I like the idea that Foley couldn't really lose that match, and I also liked what it did up until those end moments for him, because I felt like it gave him more layers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, rather than just be the guy that didn't feel pain, he was the guy that did feel pain but wouldn't quit and was never going to quit. And I felt like that elevated him, made him more relatable. And I think, you know, knowing where we are in the year, it was always common sense to put it back on The Rock. But even just to get his moment and his main event and his little short title run and then get back and then all that, I liked that for Mankind. And yeah, I thought it was a good match right up until the moment that I didn't think it was a good match.
Far.
Yeah.
I think in the whole won't quit stuff as well, you feel his disdain for The Rock.
Yeah.
And we feel our disdain for The Rock through Mankind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's run through the Rumble, which is more like an episode of a TV show than it is a Royal Rumble. I think we've got our favourite Royal Rumbles: 92, 2001. I don't think anybody would ever say 1999 was their favourite Rumble from the point of view of what makes a Rumble a Rumble. But for the whole story, like, I love this Rumble from the whole chaos point of view, from the silliness, from the. It's like the Russo Rumble, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Because we get like. When I think about how they could have done this differently, when you want Austin and Vince to be your story and to be the centre of everything, having them come in at 1 and 2, I suppose you're then thinking, okay, where do we take it? How do we make it believable that Austin didn't just have his way with and eliminate Vince, and then there's no way Vince is going to be your Iron Man and last till the end. And the way they kind of play with that and get out of it and give you these little like storyline interludes while your other competitors that don't really have that much set up for them just happen to be brawling with each other in the middle of the ring. And it knows what it is, because it takes you away from that. It basically is saying, okay, we know what you really want to see. So what we want to show you is this moment where Vince and Austin are brawling in through the back, and it's all a setup. Vince had this all in mind, because he lures him into one of the bathrooms, and there's these corporation members in there, and they all attack Austin and leave him laying. And so, like, I think given where they were and the story they wanted to lean into, they did it well. I think my frustration with it was, what else is going on? Kinda nothing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through the well, there is some stuff. So you've got the stuff with the Undertaker, where you've got Mabel comes out. Apparently, this is Mabel's first pay-per-view appearance since 1996. I don't know if he'd been on TV.
Right.
It did I did feel a bit like, right, when they were calling him Mabel. I was like, I just assumed he was Viscera, but he's obviously Viscera once he turns.
Yeah. When he comes out, I'm thinking it's Viscera as well. And then he gets taken. But the lights go off. I assume the lights go off.
Yeah, the lights go off, and like the acolytes and all that are in the ring beating him up.
He's looking like a wee bit groggy after something gets whispered to him.
Yeah, the Undertaker's like speaking in tongues and all that. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
I was, at the time, I was properly into all this. You know, it kind of fizzles out, unfortunately. But like the whole idea of the Undertaker and his ministry, I was very into. And you know, I'm curious to see what I think of the stages that will go through now, as I'm watching it back now. But poor Mabel.
They had so at this point, Midian is clothed Midian, but not long before this, he'd like drunk the Undertaker's blood on Raw or something like that, turned him into Midian. So yeah, I don't know how he managed to get the acolytes to join him. So you had that going on. You had Shamrock and Billy Gunn going on.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and they actually got a fair bit of time. And by that time, Vince is back sitting down, and he's actually like commenting on it and stuff like that, and saying like this could be interesting. You got a thing with Kane where he comes into the ring, completely clears house, and then you've got a bunch of orderlies in white coats come to chase him. He just eliminates himself and tears off through the crowd after them. But yeah, I'm struggling now as far as other things that are going on. There's no like upper mid card really, is there?
Yeah, I think that's spot on as the way to describe it, because we've got a lot of guys that feel like they could be opening the show, and then it feels like there's a big gap before you get to the top of the card. But there are quite a lot of guys that could be at the top of the card. But yeah, it's odd. There's some stuff in here. I did have an oh no moment when D'Lo came out and is accompanied by Terry and was it Jacqueline?
PMS.
Who were being referred to as PMS. And I thought, you know when you have your Vince Russo, that was one of those moments for me. But then we do get the enough is enough and it's time for a change, Owen Hart. You know, I thought that could have relieved things a little bit.
Was there a nation at this point? Because when Mark Henry comes out, they refer to him as sexual chocolate, but he is wearing his nation stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm trying to remember if it had an actual official, breakup, or if they just kind of started all doing their own thing. I think Rock's obviously abandoned them for the corporation.
Yeah. And the Godfather's the Godfather at this point. He comes out with a couple of hoes.
Yeah.
Farouk's with the ministry.
Yeah, so yeah, it must have kind of gone its separate ways, and maybe some of them just didn't want to buy any new ring gear.
Yeah, it was when Mark Henry came out and Michael Cole immediately sexual chocolate, and then Vince is like the world's strongest man because he's on commentary, and I was thinking you can't say those two things in tandem. He's one or the other.
Did you notice the moment where so obviously there's this money, 100 grand that's available for whoever eliminates Austin. There's a point where it goes on for a few minutes. Michael Cole is like bugging Vince about the technicalities about this money. He's like, so if is there a suitcase? He's like, I think they'll accept a check. Yours clears every week, doesn't it?
That was a good line.
I think he says that, like, what happens if two guys eliminated? Do they get 100,000 each? He's like, they would split the money, and he seems to be getting more and more irritated as Michael Cole's coming up with these things.
He also says when Val Venus comes in, Michael Cole's like, Val Venus could use the money well to fund one of his projects or something like that, and he just like normally you'd expect King to chime in there. I wonder if him and Vince just gave a look like going to fucking just pack it in for a bit, put this money.
I'm imagining now that you've said it, if JR's in the headset just deliberately trying to rile up Vince.
Amazing. Could definitely imagine that.
Some sweet revenge for JR at last.
What's his name? Triple H kind of would be your upper mid card potentially here, but he doesn't feel that, does he?
No. Because DX are very much a thing here, aren't they? Because he is at a point. Did it feel like he elevated a wee bit when he joined the corporation himself? I think. Because
I think he was supposed to have been, but then he just sort of becomes another face. Yeah, like within that corporation, maybe they gave him that horrendous generic theme music. Yeah,
because he'd had. I remember him kind of, becoming a bit of a thing in his own right when he had the intercontinental battles with Rock. But Rock's moved on from that, but I feel like Triple H is still kind of there.
Yep. Aye, 100%. And almost being overshadowed by the whole thing with China being the first woman in the Rumble. She cuts in on that promo and, he says it'll be every man for himself and she says, or women. I like that they didn't really over-egg the pudding with China in that Rumble, and yes, she eliminates Mark Henry, but then Austin just puts her out, dumps her out.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely surprised at that.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yes, because she's kind of gloating, isn't she? And then you just dismisses her quite effectively.
Yeah.
It wasn't maybe the most memorable Final Four, but I suppose it wasn't a Final Four, it was a Final Five because Vince was still at the announce desk.
Who was your Final Four? That's exactly what I was just going to say. Who was your Final Four?
It was Austin, Bossman, D'Lo and Owen.
Wow, was it really? That's brilliant.
Yeah. So I suppose if they are trying to make the audience think that the Austin win is inevitable, they've definitely done that. Because none of those guys are going to win a Royal Rumble. But yeah, I think when I was young and first watching this, I do remember thinking, like, it's interesting the fact, so Austin's going to eliminate the rest of the guys. He's the last person standing, but Vince isn't out yet. So Vince is in the match and back in the ring. And I do remember as I was watching thinking, what if Vince won? Because he's not going to want to face The Rock for the title at Mania. Like, he's purely there to try and stop Austin from winning, but now it's either him or him. There's no, and I don't think I was obviously very naive as to thinking whoever wins this has to be the number one contender at the Rumble. There's no way out of that.
It's funny. Someone I was going to mention was just how over the top and like in your face the Gilbert entrance was. That didn't he? I could remember him being sprayed with the fire extinguishers, but I didn't remember like the music being almost exactly like Goldberg's music and all that.
Yeah. Oh, they really leaned into that.
They did. They really did. And then the whole stuff where obviously Austin goes to the hospital. How do we end up in the car park? We're seeing the corporation put Mabel in like a back of a hearse or something.
Yes.
And Austin comes driving in.
The ambulance drives past while they're doing that. Yeah. and Vince very well sells his shocked realization that Austin's driving the ambulance.
It's the big gulps.
Yeah.
The big gulps as he's sitting there at commentary.
Michael Cole's almost jumping up and down in excitement.
Mr McMahon! It's Austin! And then when Austin does get rid of everyone, and it's just him and Vince left. And Vince's like, now Steve, and he's like putting his hands up and all that. That's quite funny as well. What do you think of the finish? I suppose it couldn't really be done any other way.
Yeah. I think it was the way out of it and the way to give themselves another wrinkle before they go where they're going to go for WrestleMania. But Rock coming down with his new title and berating Austin, giving Vince the chance to put Austin out. I think you got to concentrate, Steve. You got to show a bit more focus than that. But then to go straight into the brawl between Austin and Rock, it signposts. You still know where you're going, even though this has happened.
Yeah.
And I think I quite enjoyed the. So Shane comes down to the ring with Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe to celebrate with Vince. And Vince's face when Shane really excitedly says to him, "You're going to WrestleMania."
What is he kind of like? Not really sure if I wanted that.
He just looks at me a bit like, fuck. this wasn't the plan. But obviously the selling point is also how relieved he is that it's not Austin that's going to WrestleMania. But and then they do the Vince drinking beers in the red, like Austin style, drinking some beers.
Briscoe looks like he's having the time of his life.
Oh, I bet he was.
Mr. McMahon. An entertaining Rumble.
It was entertaining. It told a very watchable story, and you're fully invested in it pretty much straight away. Mm-hmm. And I thought, the thing I'm optimistic about looking at the next show and the next few shows as we go is there was maybe some more wrestling than I feared we were going to get, because I was a bit worried about that. So some of the matches early on just gave me that little bit of hope that we're going to see some good in-ring work along with all of the crazy storyline.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think like as always seems to happen when we start something new, I really enjoyed it. I think this was different because I've seen it and it's almost like a comfort food, I think, watching this for me. We'll see how it pans out and if it becomes monotonous, which has potential to do. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. I'm looking forward to St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That's not a pay-per-view I can remember much about apart from the cage match.
Yeah, that's the only bit I can remember.
And then WrestleMania 15 is probably my most watched WrestleMania. I think we've got a decision to make when it comes to Over the Edge, but that's later.
Okay.
But for me personally, I was thinking about it, potentially skip it.
It's not something I've got any real desire to rewatch. It's those commentary moments with JR and the interview segments. I can absolutely happily avoid watching that again.
Cool. I don't really remember there being. It was a kind of like a filler pay-per-view almost, wasn't it, in the year?
Yeah.
I want to say like from the main events, like a tag match or something. Anyway, we've still got a few pay-per-views before that, but a decent start to our studying of Russonomics. Do you want me to look up the card for St. Valentine's Day Massacre before we go?
Yeah, go for it, because I can't remember anything other than the cage match.
Okay, let's have a look. Okay, Blue Dust versus Gold Dust.
Oh.
Sure, that'll be riveting. WWF Hardcore title match, Bob Holly versus Al Snow.
Okay.
Have I got the right pay-per-view? I do. Midian versus the Big Boss Man. That's this because they're not the corporate ministry yet. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart, who are at this point tag team champions, taking on D'Lo and Mark Henry.
Okay.
Ken Shamrock versus Val Venus for the Intercontinental title match. Special referee Billy Gunn.
Okay.
Oh God, Chyna and Kane versus D-Generation X.
Okay.
Mankind versus The Rock in a last man standing match.
Right.
Don't particularly like the sound of that, do you?
Not after what we've just seen, but.
And the main event is billed as an Austin's WrestleMania spot on the line steel cage match.
Okay.
Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon.
Oh.
So, yeah. That it's a shame when I remember we talked about it last time. We never got the dark match of this Rumble, which was Christian versus Jeff Hardy.
Oh, would have been amazing.
That would have been your 5-star wrestling match that you were looking for.
Oh, that's it right there. Yeah.
So basically, you can give it a pass. So this was in your house, St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh well, we'll see what it's like. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Blue Dust versus Gold Dust. I enjoyed the Blue Meanies cameo in the Rumble.
Absolutely, yeah. When you first said it, it took me about 2 minutes to realise who Blue Dust was going to be, and then I thought, oh yeah, did not go through a stage of calling him Mammy and stuff like that. I think it gets weird.
Oh no, amazing! I wonder at what point Al Snow and the Big Boss Man start feuding, because he feeds him his dog, doesn't he? He feeds him pepper.
Yes. Did they not have a... No, was it these guys that had a match where there's dogs in the cell?
A kennel, something kennel.
Yeah. Now, whether that's been or whether that's come, I don't know.
No.
It definitely happened.
I hope we get that during this year. What do you think it's called? Is it something on a pole mat? It is a kennel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kennel something or something kennel.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Take it easy. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.